What's up, guys? Do I need to introduce this guy? Do I need to introduce you, Hector the Connector?
Hector the Connector.
That's it. And this is Ru Ross from Yonkers Voice. Well, today we're sitting here because Hector has an update. All of you know about the issue that happened at the hospital the other day. And let me make it clear that as far as I'm concerned, this is not about Hector and his daughter. This is about the issue that his story represents. Many people had that issue. Today he had, for what I hear, a very productive meeting with the hospital, correct? Yeah. So he had a very productive meeting, and he's going to tell us what happened. And we're going to go back and forth. So, but you guys, if you guys have any questions, please ask. I'll be looking at my iPad, and we're going to be addressing those questions. But make sure that those are valid questions, right?
For sure, for sure.
And I also want to point it out that when I talk to Hector and I post questions, it's not me. Okay, these are questions that people have told me.
For sure,
concerns that people had.
And I'll serve to the best of my knowledge.
Exactly. Concerns that people had, and they ask me these or they email me that question. So it's not about me. I have no horse in this race, but at the same time, I'm a member of the community.
Right.
So if this concerns
I
them,
think that's the biggest. That's the biggest reason why we're here. You know.
That's exactly why we're here. So Hector, you were there this morning. Well, they called you, set a meeting.
So they had actually called me last week, the same day this happened, later in the evening, and you know they wanted to give me time, which I appreciate, just to get over everything. And so so they called me and said immediately that they wanted to schedule a meeting this week, just to kind of speak more on the issue, what happened, and to hear my concerns. So the meeting happened today. And I gotta say, it was great. It was, for me at least, you know, for my concerns, it went really well.
It went really well. But you went there to represent yourself, or did you go there to represent an issue that affects the community?
Right. So now, that's funny because when I step into any issue, I wear many hats, right? So like in this issue, I had my dad hat on. So as a concerned parent, I had my issues. But then I had my community member hat. And so I had to kind of put myself in my community's place, hear all the feedback that we got, and see how I can serve as a conduit to kind of not only rectify my issue, but an issue that potentially can happen in my community. So that's, you know, I went in there with both lenses. And for me personally, as a father, they answered my questions. They gave me what I needed, right? But as an activist, so much more came out of it.
Yeah. You know, Hector, when I see you, I know you for a few years now.
For sure.
And actually, so you guys know, Hector is, I think, one of the first 6 members of Yonkers Voice. So we go back, you know, a long time ago when Hector was starting his, being an actor. Well, I think he always had it in his heart. But when he actually started coming out and helping the community,
for sure.
We met each other. When we clicked, we went to a couple events together. So I know what Hector is about.
Right.
And I have to condone you for maintaining your cool on the day that it happened. Because that day, you were dead as a dad.
Yeah, for sure. You know, so, and that was something we spoke about. You know, they said that the person they saw in my last interview wasn't the person they saw at the hospital. But again, you know, I was with my daughter, so I had to like conduct myself and just take everything, write things down. But then the activist in me, once my daughter was home, she was safe, she was good. The activist in me said, you know what? No, I have to speak about this. So then we had that interview, and so. But ultimately, like I want to bring it back to like how, you know, going over what we, you know, set forth in the meeting at least.
So now tell me, you went to the meeting.
Yeah.
What did they say?
So
because before you go, I just want to make it clear that on Yonkers Voice, we want to talk about the issues that affect our community. We want to talk about issues that our community have concerns with. But we also want to focus on solutions for those problems.
Right.
We want to offer solutions. We want to explain things, because sometimes things don't turn out to be exactly the way it happens. On Hector's case, after I spoke with him, as I always do, I contact the other side as well. Because I need to know the other side. So we contacted the hospital.
It's a part to give everybody their side.
Exactly.
Right.
Because I was not on your side or against the hospital or in favor of the hospital against you.
Right.
All that I do is give you a platform, you or any member of the community, to speak about issues. So I'm going to let you talk about what happened today, and then I'll tell you what I've done.
Right. So one of the things that we got out today, because a lot of it was, for me at least, it was like solution based. I wanted to get to the point and just share my personal opinion on what happened. And so we went on, we spoke about the incident, and through that we realized that signage is super important in the hospital. So they, after today, they're gonna definitely try to work on putting some type of sign up that says, if you have any concerns, if you wanna make a complaint, here's the information you need. Because that was one of my issues. When I wanted to make a complaint, I was told that I had to wait another hour or two till people came in. And I thought that was a little wild. If you need to make a complaint, it needs to be as urgent as anything else is. And so I'm happy for that. I'm also happy that I was able to put myself in a situation for the community to be the voice and work with them on events coming forward, on getting the information that they do in the hospital out, but also kind of rebranding like the emergency room, like the first responders, and do some really good trainings. We want to offer like some type of CPR trainings, opiate overdose trainings, to better equip our community. And they want to hear feedback, they want to get numbers.
I have to cut you off here and there. I'm glad that you were happy with what they said, and what you heard. But remember, they were not going to say anything that you didn't want to hear. They know exactly what you need to hear. And I don't think that you need any signs in a hospital to tell their own staffing how to handle the clients and the patients that walk in. I don't need a sign to say where to file a complaint.
Agreed.
Okay? Right. They can behave and treat people like human beings. Okay? Just because people sometimes with low income go to the hospital don't mean that they should be treated any different. What help would that sign do? What I think they need to do, Hector, is they need to train their own staff better in order to take care and handle the people that walk in the hospital.
Right.
So I'm not here to support you, defend
you.
No,
definitely. You definitely have to, raise the points that were brought to you.
I'm raising the points.
And this isn't nothing that we all don't know, know, right? This is something that's been going on for Yonkers in a while, that we feel in our community, right? And so, that was one of the topics in the conversation, but it's not for me to speak on what they're going to do. But
you
what
want
I can
to
say,
on your experience.
So for sure, it was talked about like training. One of the trainings was like interpersonal communication training. They get trained, I believe, once a year or something. They shared with me. So they said, maybe we should like revamp it, bring in another training. We spoke about bringing community training, community members who provide services, potential partnerships in that way, right? And so I just wanted to serve as a conduit for that,
I understand.
And bring my connections, my resources to them, for at least we can try to get something done. This is me. I'm big on giving people a second chance, transition.
We all deserve a second chance.
So for me, at least, I came into this like, this was the issue, and let me give you the chance to rectify this so it doesn't happen to myself or my community again. I definitely wasn't thinking of suing. I wasn't thinking of immediately being a rebel, because there's stages in process. So after today's meeting, if I see that it sits on a desk and it doesn't go anywhere, of course I have to rebel up and I have to.
Now let me tell you what we have done.
Please.
Long before your issue,
right?
Going back 2 years ago, more or less, we had an interview with Mr. Spicer.
Yeah.
Mr. Spicer is the top executive at that hospital.
Right.
We spoke exactly about those issues. we spoke about exactly about what the people felt, that they felt disrespected when they walk into that hospital,
Yeah.
that they feel like they're not being treated well, they feel a whole bunch of things.
Right.
I offered to Mr. Spicer that we should do a few interviews once in a while to talk and clear up
Right.
the brand, to show that they are actually, they help the community, and for what
sure.
I hear, they help the community in many more ways that we know.
Yeah, yeah.
But we don't know because they don't tell. Well, Mr. Spicer didn't took up on that offer. I have tried to reach out to him. I actually spoke with his secretary, Maria, many times. Not a callback, not even a courtesy call,
Right.
Hector. Last week, when we heard about your story, we called him again to see if he had a statement in regards to what happened to you.
For sure.
And again, what happened to you could happen to anybody else. And I'm sure it happened to a whole bunch of people because we read the comments that people wrote in regards
yeah,
to
and people shared their
Exactly.
story in my page as well.
So I called his office. He was away in business. Okay, he was away in business. So Maria actually transferred my call to Miss Lorraine Horgan, which now is the Vice President for the External Affairs.
Correct.
She's
one of the women that went to meeting
yes,
today.
she was one of the person that was in the meeting. I left a message with somebody who said she was a temp at the office, but she was going to leave a message to Miss Lorraine. Miss Lorraine was going to get to the office around 11 o'clock.
Right.
This was a week, maybe a little longer than a week. Well, I waited for the call until today.
Interesting.
Not even a courtesy call.
Right.
So today I reached out and I said, look, this is what's going on. I have tried to reach Mrs. Spicer. He was away. I have tried to reach Miss Lorraine. She was not at the hospital, but I left a message asking for her to call back. She never called back. And I told them that, look, we are going to go live again, to give the people an update of what's going on.
Right.
And we want to give you an opportunity to talk
Absolutely.
on this issue.
I could see that.
All of a sudden, I received a call from her. So this thing with the hospital actor is not like nothing new. It's like I told Miss Lorraine, you acting like you did not know about the bad rap that this hospital has.
For sure.
This hospital has a bad reputation for years.
So hold on, let me just, because you said a lot there. So at first, I'm sorry you had to go through that process, trying to get in touch with someone. I'm sure that maybe after this, hopefully somebody will get back to you if somebody knows.
No, she got back to me. We might have an interview in a week or two. So we got that done.
So again, bringing it back to my purpose, I'm glad I was able to make that happen. The interview process, because sometimes we go through life and we may stumble over the same rock, but sometimes something can get moved and you get that door opened, right? So that's my purpose in this, to just be a voice, right? To be a conduit. If after this you're able to sit with someone, I hope somebody reaches out, have that conversation, because you do speak for a broader audience than I do.
We have
right?
different purposes.
Absolutely, right. And it's about knowing the purpose. And my purpose was to be that voice, not Yonkers' voice, but my community voice,
Correct.
right? My voice. And so I know that I got tangible plans that I'm going to bring to my community, and my goals that I was looking for getting into this interview is to be that person to offer the trainings needed, not only to the staff that they, because correct, they could, there could be more common courtesy, right? I created the stop and shake, right? Even though I didn't have a great relationship with cops growing up my whole life, I created a program to build a bridge, right? Because I like to focus on the love aspect of things, right? So with the hospital, that's my purpose here, to create a bridge from the hospital to my community. And so by the end of the summer, there's a lot of stuff going on with the coronavirus. I just saw a comment. I am not aware of any corona in Yonkers, but I'm not a medical.
Neither am I.
Yeah. I'm not. So
I played one last night, but I'm not a doctor.
Do not take my advice. I'm not a medical professional. Another thing you raised was them getting back to you today.
After they knew that we were going to go live.
Right. So did they share any opinions? Like, what was their perspective after reaching out to you about today?
This was a very brief conversation with Miss Lorraine. Miss Lorraine, we need to be fair as well. Miss Lorraine just got into her position 2 months ago. Right. So there is a lot of work behind
For sure,
the scenes.
Right.
But what got me a little bit upset, Hector, is that she acted like she did not know anything about it.
Right.
Well, everybody in Yonkers, especially on the west side of Yonkers,
right,
does not have a good opinion about that hospital.
Right. And I could agree with you 100%.
Okay.
If you're from Yonkers, you know that St. Joseph's has had issues.
Mr. Spicer, which is the head of the hospital, knew about this. Okay, I don't understand why something had to happen in order for this to be exposed. I'm glad that your daughter is okay.
Right.
But what if she wasn't?
Right. And that's the stuff that I want to definitely prevent moving forward. If she wasn't okay, this would definitely be...
Would you be this calm?
Absolutely. If she was around, yeah, I'll be this calm.
Well,
if she wasn't okay, I definitely wouldn't be this calm. You know what I mean? And that's the importance of being emotionally intelligent, knowing when to use those things, right? So, if this was a different scenario, I would have had to have a different hat. I would have had to rally my community up, and it would have been a whole different approach. But we're not there yet, thank God. She's fine, and so with that being said, the programs they offered, even the information, that I'm more happy that they took a step in moving forward. They even offered for me to be like their liaison, because sometimes it's not about having different people in certain positions. It's about having the right person in a position, right? So having a liaison that can identify with the community, that can be that voice, was their main mission today.
Yeah. Let me just interject here, guys. I see some comments here. Rosalind Kelsey says, my grandmother died there in less than 24 hours after being admitted for how you say this?
Pneumonia.
Ammonia. My accent, my English, I'm sorry guys, not too pretty. Okay. CTY Hats says a lot of people died there. Guys, lots of people died in hospitals. Okay. Right. That's where sick people go, and that's very often where people die. But we cannot blame a hospital based on who died there. We can, criticize a hospital if the service.
I think it's important that people understand like the process when you feel like things like this happen. I want to say I'm sorry for the loss of anyone who lost someone in any hospital, and St. Joseph's. But there's certain steps, and as a community, sometimes we just don't know. A lot of our community is misinformed. We don't know the resources that's out there. We don't know the agencies that handle what, and we grieve differently, right? So sometimes we just take that on and never get these questions answered, right? And so I want to make it more easier for things like this not to happen, right? So if there should have been a sign, if there shouldn't have been a sign, whatever the fact, moving forward, there would be a sign, right? In the emergency room where people can complain, people can share their voices, because like you said, she's only started 3 months ago, so she's trying to put things into place. As a reporter, it's harder, I guess, to get through to certain people, but as community members, we should be able to get to these people faster.
Like you said, you wear different hats. You had the daddy hat, and now you have the community hat. Right. I have the reporter hat.
For sure.
My job is to report. My job is not to be on the side of the hospital or against the hospital. It's not to be on your side or against you.
Right.
My job is to talk about issues and concerns that the community have, and also to see if solutions can be found to resolve those concerns.
Correct.
Okay, and it upsets me, and I'm going to say it again, that these hospitals have been having this bad rap for years.
Right.
Why did it need a videotape, a live stream, to bring
Well,
up
I
the...
would say that I don't think it took the live stream because the woman that spoke to you and this was the woman that approached the situation and helped de-escalate it when I was there. You know, this was before the interview. And so it was the same woman who contacted me after. And I have to give her credit. Her name is Fran. She did a really great job de-escalating the situation, getting me the information I needed. And she got back to me before even knowing the video was up, right?
Okay.
So, and then she watched the video later that night, she shared. But, you know, so I want to give shout out to Fran for real, for really, you know, reaching out because she's trying to do her part.
Well,
right.
So I guess maybe we need to make another point clear. We are not saying that everyone is bad at the hospital.
No, there's a lot of great departments, and
we are not
unfortunately
saying,
the emergency room can definitely
we
use
are
some
not
work.
saying that the doctors or the care is bad. We are talking about that improvements need to be made.
Right.
And it's not a sign outside Hector that's going to change the behavior of their own staff.
But see, sometimes it can.
It
right?
can?
Because even so, I'm gonna take this so as for police, right? It wasn't until we were able to make like reports more accessible to the community that people started reporting, and then the numbers, you know, because numbers don't lie, right? So now, once the police department, right, at one point to make a complaint for the police department, you had to go to the police department. And that's pretty intimidating within itself, right, to go file a complaint against a cop in front of a cop, right?
Law enforcement is a little different than hospital.
No, absolutely, right? But I'm saying it in the human aspect, right? So it may be hard to get to file a complaint, you know, because at the end of the day, you can lose your life in any field, right? So to be able to file a complaint should be accessible immediately.
Okay. So
that's why one of the for me, I'm talking about my personal opinion, what happened to me, right? So for me, one of my issues were I couldn't file a complaint immediately. I didn't have no one to talk to. How was I, you know, that was, for my personal opinion, what was my issue at the time that happened to my daughter, right?
Hector, that's to you.
For sure.
That's the dad's hat.
Right. But as a community aspect, I'm like, anyone should be able to access this. Why did I have to wait all this time to file a complaint without having no information, right? So I thought about it and I said, wait, anyone in my community, no one should have to go through that process that I felt trying to find out how to file a complaint against the nurse that's taking care of you, the doctor that saw you, any of these people that you might have interacted with that gave you an attitude, that mislooked your treat or whatever, right? You should be able to file a complaint. And then asking the doctor that maybe you just got into an altercation with for a complaint can go kind of, and no matter, maybe they're not keeping it professional.
Okay.
But still, how are you going to get that information?
So let's forget about the complaint for a second.
Right.
What that has to do with when you said, okay, I'm taking my daughter out and she's bringing the payment into the conversation.
Right. And again, it goes back to like interpersonal communication, right?
And training for the young staff.
Absolutely, right? So that was part of their statistics. I mean, their programming that they had to go through, right? For me, I definitely want to see it done, and that's why I offered not only myself but a bunch of people in my community that I know can train staff on interpersonal communication.
I hope the hospital does not think that coming to fairs, you know, bringing pens saying St. Joseph's or little mugs with St. Joseph's Hospital is going to change.
Yeah, right. That was one of the things we spoke about today.
I don't think it's going to change how people see the hospital. I think training your people, changing policies, making, as you said, clear signs of how people can file a complaint, or
because then these complaints, they can narrow it down,
exactly,
right? And then they can say, okay, this is an issue that's going on. So like we spoke a lot about the attitudes, right? And it's so hard to even get down to I can't speak for why they would have an attitude or why they deal with certain things. And again, they brought up sensitivity training and a bunch of trainings that, through my experience, highlighted certain things for them. where they say, you know what, Hector, maybe we should revisit this. Maybe we should make this longer. Maybe we should do this 2 times a year, right? And so that was my point in that meeting, to kind of share how we felt, how was our experience.
Look, regardless how you look at this, I'm glad, not that I'm happy that this happened, but I'm happy that this might have triggered, okay, some changes that will benefit the community. I hope that this... Now, guys, we want to hear from you. If you had any experiences at the hospital, let us know. Let Hector know, so he can continue the conversation with the board at the hospital and can say, look, this is the problem. This is what the community say. How can we change this? How can we make this hospital be a place where the community doesn't see it, that they come to St. Joseph's to die? That's a very bad way to see.
Right, that's a bad stigma to hold.
It's a bad stigma.
And so, you know, even like, so there's so many departments, you know, like the cardiovascular department. Super awesome. And like in my last meeting, I generalized everything. I was talking about the hospital itself, right? And that's something that we have to stop doing too, like generalizing a whole population almost.
Because of
one thing, right? So yeah, so
I agree.
Shout out to all the good doctors. It's great people.
And
I know people. I know
doctors.
people that work there, and they go above and beyond to like make sure, for sure. So shout out to y'all. I respect it. I appreciate y'all. We need more of you guys in the hospital, for sure.
Be contagious. Make sure that others are like you.
For sure. Yeah, and you know, don't be scared to report somebody in your hospital. You know, if you see something, say something, right? But overall, the staff there's a lot of great people over there. There's a lot of great departments. I was focused on my opinion, which was the emergency, the first services that we see when we go in and out. They get a lot of their patients out of there. So I definitely want to see more communication skills from that. And again, I will hold them accountable. You know, if I have to hold them accountable, I will. But right now, this is the process, right?
Okay.
So we'll definitely have a follow-up interview. We proposed a lot of things, but we can't make even tangible dates because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus.
No, it's understood. But guys, this was Hector's experience.
Right, correct.
I
just want to share my process.
You might have a different experience. Maybe your experience was positive. Well, we want to know about that too. Maybe your experience was negative, but in a different, maybe on the floor. Well, we want to know that too. Because to find a solution, or for Hector to go there and articulate the problems, he needs to understand the problems. You need to know from different people, different things that they perceived to be problems in order to address and
because I spoke about a lot of things. I spoke about classism in the meeting. I spoke about the type of patients they potentially may see all the time. The meeting was almost an hour and a half long, right? So we went into detail on a lot of things, but I want to focus on the solutions, right? Because if they don't meet their part in the solutions, then we have to go and move forward accordingly, right? But for right now, man, what I can definitely ask is, if you had a story, please submit it, because you know a lot of this is going to be data driven. We want to make sure that we get enough stories. Right now, most of the stories I've gotten were specifically about like the emergency room, right? I had 1 or 2 stories about like the nursing home. But yeah, you know, if you had your experience, share it with us, inbox me or Rue, and you know, we'll try to get that to them as soon as possible. And you know, you'll be hearing from them real soon, and they'll speak on their behalf. But for the most part, moving forward, I know my point is going to be collecting as much information from my community. They want to, you mentioned something earlier that I want to highlight, that supporting isn't, being community engaged is not just giving away things at an event, right? And that was one of the things we spoke about. You know, I told them that, you know, it has to be more community oriented. So we spoke again. That's when we brought up like, I said we need to give out CPR trainings in our community. We need to get opiate overdose trainings. And these little, if they can be the conduit for our community, right now, our downtown Yonkers is going through a bunch of stuff with a lot of opioids overdose and people overdosing almost twice a week already in the downtown area, and for our community to be able to be the first responders, or we can raise their awareness on certain issues. If this is what that takes to get my community trained in so many other things through that facility, with the right facilitators, I think that this is a win for us.
No, I think so. But also let's point it out that St. Joseph's Hospital does a lot for the community.
Yeah, they do.
They donate tons of money for the community. They have
I got some
buildings for
facts
the
I looked
senior.
up.
Please, so people don't think that.
I have some cool facts. So it's actually the last remaining Catholic hospital in all of New York State. Like the last Catholic hospital. And I'm not personally Catholic, but I thought that was an interesting point to raise. If you're Catholic, please get more involved in the hospital affairs. If you can offer any services, call them, drop your card, email, or send me the information. I'll make sure they get it to you. The Family Health Center that's located down the block has provided a bunch of information and services for the elderly and newborn. They have a bunch of facilities too, like let me see right here. St. Joseph acquired the St. Vincent Hospital and Psychiatric Hospital in Harrison in 2010. They offer in and outpatient for substance abuse and mental health services. So all this is important to our community.
It is.
110%. So, but my whole thing is we definitely have to try to just reorganize it.
Yeah.
A lot of people went through stuff. A lot of people didn't really speak up or didn't know where to speak up to. But I'm opening up that channel now, and so if you can get your information to us and help us, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, and remember what Hector said. Nowadays, in era that we live in, everything is data driven.
Yeah, data driven.
Everything.
Right.
Everything needs to be documented. That's how things are measured. That's how things go in a matrix, so people can see this, can see that, and make decisions. So if you feel like you were not treated well, if you feel like something that shouldn't happen, you need to document and you need to let somebody know. So the communication channel is now open, so you can get in touch with Hector Santiago, Hector the Connector, and he will make that connection. That's for sure, right?
For sure.
And people can find Hector on which page? Hector, which one do you prefer?
You can find
for
me
this?
on my personal page, Hector Santiago. Type in Hector the Connector, I'll pop up. Follow Stop and Shake page also.
Or Yonkers Voice always, I have to plug that in, and share this video. Share this video with everyone that
Shout
you
out
can.
to CYI.
Yeah.
Gave me this awesome hat.
And I don't know because they
Create
didn't
your
give me
inspiration.
They didn't give me one hat, so this is my
Create
show.
your
Ain't gonna
inspiration.
mention it. No, just kidding.
It's a good hat.
It's a nice hat. It is a nice hat. So communicate, share the video. We want to hear from other people, not just to criticize the hospital. We already passed that stage. What we want is to improve the relationship between the hospital and the community.
And whatever that takes, if you have an idea, please bring it to the table. One of my quotes that if you follow me, is it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a bunch of loving relationships to create the village, right? And that's where we're at right now. Please share your information. Let me know a story. If you have any ideas, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just bring the wheel to where there aren't any. So if you know of any effective policies or plans that are working in other hospitals throughout the tri-state or the U.S., please share that, because then these are things that we can propose to our community hospital to better help us from all class, all ethnicities and race and gender. Anything you have that can be productive, get it to us so we can
and guys, please present your ideas in a polite and respectful manner. Okay, that's how we find solutions. There is no need to go nuts, insult.
Right.
Just
Now,
say,
for sure. No. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's important to just bring it back to a loving place and focus on the mission. The mission right now is to make sure that we hold them accountable. I sat with them. They called me. I sat with them. We had our meeting. I know what I'll be expecting. Again, the coronavirus throws everything out of loop. Yeah, because we can't set any potential dates and stuff. But we are in contact, and we're gonna be moving forward.
Yeah. So, guys, stay tuned for our interview with Lorraine Horgan.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming up in a week, 2 weeks. She's going to reach out to me next week. But as Hector said, this coronavirus situation is throwing everything off. So she's going to call me.
Right.
She's been there for 2 months. She's going to look into what she anticipates needs to be done, possible solutions, things that might help, not rebuilding, reconnecting and changing perceptions, because sometimes perception becomes reality, and then it's the change. So St. Joseph's,
Who knows? We can probably rebrand the hospital. Coming together as a community. We're gonna make this happen. I'm pretty confident that a bunch of good stuff is gonna come from this.
I think so too. I think so. Speaking to her, she's all in favor of finding solutions. She's all in favor of looking for remedies to change, perception, because perception sometimes becomes reality. Yep. But we need,
it definitely has been a bad rep in St. Joseph's for a while. But again, we're gonna get all the like-minded together and change that.
Yeah, and as Hector said, we strongly believe in second chances. I believe in second chances.
For them, this is my second chance.
Second chances, not third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
For me,
second chances. So hospital, watch out. We are going to be on top of this, and if things are changing, we will report the updates. Right. We will report the things that are changing for the best, and for things that might be changing for the worst. We follow the story. Guys, #action, not words.
Don't forget to use hand sanitizer. Wash your hands.
Yes. Wash your hands. Elbow, hello.
No stop and shakes.
Okay, no stop and shake. Elbow shake now, for a while. And moving forward. Action, not words. Last word, Hector?
Yeah, no, just send me that information. Let's get this done. Again, if you know of any ideas, any proposals, anything that's working somewhere else, reach out and let's get this done.
Reach out and touch someone. Till next time.
Don't touch no one.
Oh, no touch no one. Later.